For most of my life, my name was first Lynda Carroll Forrest, then Lynda Carol Trotter. I live in Franklin, Tennessee, and grew up in Huston, Texas. I knew I was adopted from Greece in the 1950s, but aside from trips to Greek festivals and reading books about ancient mythology, I didn't have a significant connection to the country I came from. All of that changed 7 years ago when I got an email saying my biological mother was still alive, which meant everything I knew about my past was a lie. My paperwork said I was a foundling of unknown origins. My parents were told my biological mother had died in childbirth. Neither was true. I've heard a lot of adoptees say there was always part of me missing. I honestly never felt that way until both my parents died. Growing up, I had the kind of parents every child deserves, kind, loving people. They adored me, and I adored them. Considering the adoption process had no oversight from either the Greek or U.S. governments at the time, I was extremely lucky. Greece did no pre-adoption screening, and the U.S. did no post-adoption screening. The adoption was facilitated by a proxy acting on my parents' behalf. Once I got to the United States, nobody ever came to our house to make sure I was okay. Fortunately, I was. My identity wasn't important until it was. When I entered my late 50s, my parents had passed away. I was an only child. Most of my older relatives were already dead. I felt alone. I decided it was time to find my roots. As an adoptee, this is a decision only you can make. Not all Greek adoptees get the closure I did. Since discovering my family, it's become my mission to help others find this part of their life. And so I founded the Ευτυχία Project in 2019, a nonprofit that helps reunite Greek adoptees with their Greek biological families. Through the Ευτυχία Project, we help other Cold War-era adoptees from Greece reconnect with their families. So far, we've facilitated the reconnections of 34 adoptees and biological families in the span of 5 years, and have been contacted by hundreds of adoptees and families in Greece and the United States asking to find relatives. All this means I'm in Greece a lot, which is a wonderful thing. Today, most people in my life call me Ευτυχία. That's the name my biological mother gave me. It means happiness. She couldn't have known it then, but my name was like a prophecy. I found happiness when I returned home to Greece. Open the book. Open. Mamá. ¡Patrilazzo! ¡Patrilazzo! Mamá! Χαίρετε. Παιδάκι μου! Πού ήρθες εδώ, παιδί μου!
Good evening and χρόνια πολλά. I'd like to thank Basil Vasiliou for playing the wonderful music as we settled into our seats. And be sure to come and see his show, The Piano Improvisation, on Friday, October 4th at 7:30 p.m. So thank you, Mr. Vasiliou. Thank you very much. I'm truly honored to welcome you all to this very special event, the first Hellenic American Project oral history interview conducted in front of a live audience with Professor Nicholas Alexiou. My name is Angie Xidias, and I'm the founder of Greek Elder Care Network. Greek Elder Care Network is a social impact company dedicated to providing support and resources to the elderly and their families in the Greek American community. Greek Elder Care Network was founded because of a need that I had when my dear mother, Christina Tsekenis, had a major stroke during the COVID-19 year, which left her bedbound and unable to speak. And because facilities not allowing visitors, we had to make the hard decision to bring our mother home and not send her to a rehab facility. Not knowing how my sister, my brother, and I were going to care for her, having no idea where to look for help or where to go, where to find caregivers, I thought to myself, I can't be the only one going through this. So I started Greek Elder Care Network Facebook group to connect caregivers looking for work with families looking for help. Our community has now grown up to 1,000 members who support one another in many ways. Our community is growing monthly, and we strive to bring the community together with essential initiatives that make a difference in many lives. Initiatives like our supportive Facebook group, Greek Family Meal Plan Service, a service where we partner with a local highly rated Greek restaurant and deliver home-style Greek food straight to elderly in the community and their families in the community. We have virtual informational sessions with our network partners, community calendar events, caregiver support group, bereavement support group, Parkinson's support group. All those support groups are going to be starting after October, a walking club, and a book club. Our next virtual book club event is on Wednesday, September 25th at 7 p.m. with author Sally Jane Smith. And the book is Unpacking for Greece. All are welcome, and we have copies here for sale. To be sure to pick one up and join our book club. My mother made huge strides in her recovery because of the care she received at home with us. And because of the support I found in our group, she managed to walk with assistance, make strides in communicating, and was doing well. But unfortunately, my mom suffered a double stroke in July of 2022 and has passed since, in October of that same year. My mom was born Christina Delis in Patras, Greece in 1940, and was given up for adoption because her mother passed away sometime after she was born. Her father gave her up because he could not care for her. He kept her two brothers, but could not afford to keep his only daughter because of the prika that would have been required for her to marry when she was older. My mother was adopted by an older couple who never had children of their own. And it was then that my mom's name changed to Christina Koutra, and then Christina Tsekenis when she married my father. Because of my mother's own adoption story, I was instantly drawn to Ευτυχία and her story and her incredible work that she does through the Ευτυχία Project. Producing tonight's live event with the collaboration of Hellenic American Project fills me with immense pride, and I thank all of you for being here. Tonight is a monumental moment as we share and preserve the stories of Greek-born adoptees from the 1950s and 60s, and Lynda Carol Trotter's lifelong mission to amplify the voices of over 4,000 Greek adoptees searching for their roots, as well as Greek families searching for children lost to adoption during this pivotal time in Greek history. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Nicholas Alexiou, Professor of Sociology at Queens College and founder and director of Hellenic American Project, a scholarly initiative dedicated to promoting the study and understanding of Greek culture, history, and the diaspora experiences in America, for leading this historic conversation. And of course, a huge thank you to Lynda Károl Trotter, president of the Ευτυχία Project, for graciously sharing her personal story with us, with all of us on her journey. We also wanted to express our sincere thanks to the members of the media, the National Herald, the Greek News, Cosmos FM, Καθημερινή, Queen's Gazette, who are all present this evening. Your support is invaluable in ensuring these stories reach far and wide, and your commitment to telling these stories ensures that the legacy of these adoptees and their families will be preserved in Greek American history for generations to come. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible adoptees who are here, who have traveled from all over the United States to be here with us. We thank them for coming to New York City and welcome them to Historia, New York, the heart of the Greek community. And you will get to meet them later in our show, in our program. Also, a special thank you goes to our sponsor, Tsonomokos and Papadopoulos law firm, and their Greek legal services team for their support and of this event, for being steadfast in their dedication to helping you, the people in the Greek American community, to embrace your roots. There will be a reception downstairs after the interview, so please join us. And you can meet everyone and you can connect with our amazing guests and learn more about everyone's story. The food is provided by Greek Elder Care Network, meal plan service. Desserts have been donated by Oasis Cafe, and the wines from Pan Gregorians. Thank you once again for being here tonight. We are making history together, and let's make tonight a truly unforgettable celebration of identity, resilience, and Greek American history. Because tonight's event is being taped in front of a live audience, please refrain from talking during the taping. Also, kindly, I ask you all to take out your phones now and put your phones on silent mode. I'll give you a minute to do this. And so with that, we'll get started. So, here we go.
Hello and welcome to this exciting event tonight. I'm very thrilled. Although I've made so many interviews so far at the Hellenic American Project, this is very close to my heart and very special event. I would like to correct not only the Gregorian, the spirits are also from Mr. Nikos Bardis. Also, I would like to thank my Queen's College colleagues. Among us is today Mr. George Giannopoulos, a dear friend of mine and a very special person at Queen's College, and a few of my QC students. Of course, they didn't come voluntarily. I'll give them extra credit, but we'll do it. That will do it. Research, preservation, and dissemination form the foundation of hubs of the Hellenic American Project mission. As you know, the United States is a home to over 1 million people of Greek ancestry now, with New York maintaining a significant Greek population outside of Greece. A notable demographic shift has occurred, though, as American-born Greeks now outnumber immigrant Greek generations. This transformation necessitates substantial change within the Greek American community and requires the Greek state to reassess its approach to the evolving American Greek population. The Hellenic American Project employs both quantitative and qualitative research methods to document and analyze the Greek American population. Quantitative data sources include the US Census and the American Community Survey, while qualitative data is gathered through oral histories interviews. These interviews conducted with members of the immigrant generation, the American-born Greeks, the broader Hellenic diaspora, provide valuable first-hand narratives. The collected interviews are organized in generational oral histories and made available on Hub's website, supported by Queen's College. Research focus for Hub plays a significant role in understanding Greek immigration patterns, analyzing the dispersion of Greek across the United States, supporting CUNY's vision for excellence in ethnic, community, and cultural studies, and contributing to historical and international relations research. The oral history interviews focus on three main areas: personal and family background, community involvement and ethnic attachment, perspectives on the future of Hellenism in America. These interviews serve as a vital resource for preserving Greek American heritage and understanding the community's evolution over time. We thank you for agreeing to participate here, and understand that all organizations like ours, which are non-profit, we need your support. And if you're wondering why you have those two big vases here, those are for your donation later to throw money inside. One is for the Ευτυχία project, and next to me it is for the Hellenic American Project. Yes, like in the old days with the theater, remember. I want to thank also another person who supports Hub's efforts, our film director here, who has all these peculiar, machinery around that you see, and he shoots in 4K, 6K. He tells me some numbers that I have no idea what they're about. Mr. Ioannis Koutalis, and thank you for supporting us in the technological thing. We'll start with some personal background, and let's start with the obvious. Can you tell us about your adoption story and how you discovered your Greek heritage?
I was born in February of 1958 in a tiny village called Staranomou, Greece, in Oreni Nafaktia, mountainous Nafaktos. And I was given up to the Βρεφοκομείο Athanon, the municipal orphanage of Athens, when I was about a month and a half. And at 8 months old, I was adopted by Americans from San Antonio, Texas. They weren't Greek, they were just Americans, James and Ruth Forrest. And I actually arrived the day after their 12th wedding anniversary, after 12 years of having trying to have a child, in Houston, Texas at Hobby Airport. When I when I arrived at the airport, I was actually carried off the plane by KLM stewardesses, and and after going through immigration, I was handed over to my parents.
I think it is a short film about that.
Yes.
And we're going to include it into our interview. You're going to see it on our website, but also people can find it on YouTube. It's a very, heart film, very, very touchy.
Yes, my father and he got with his friends, and he filmed some of it. They filmed some of it, and it was. It's amazing because I'm one of the very few Greek adoptees that have a film of their arrival. Some people have photos, but having the film is really amazing.
And what inspired you to call yourself Ευτυχία, and what significance does it hold for you?
Well, my parents, I've always known I was adopted. I can't remember a time I didn't know I was adopted. My parents always told me, you're Greek, you're from Athens, from the orphanage there, and your name is Ευτυχία. But they didn't know how to pronounce my name, so it came out something like Ευτυχία, which was sounded kind of pretty, but wasn't correct. And I had no idea what the name, how to pronounce it, what it meant, or anything else. But they were always very open with me, always told me the truth about everything, whatever they knew. And all they knew was that my mother had died in childbirth, supposedly, and I was a premature baby. But my name was Ευτυχία. I came from the orphanage, and I was Greek. So I knew that, and so I never had much of a stigma about being adopted because I knew that from the beginning.
But you did not grow up in a Greek environment. It was an American environment.
American, yes. I wasn't raised by Greeks.
And you have visited Greece as a child.
No, I never went to Greece. It took me 59 years actually to get to Greece.
We'll talk about that because now you fly there and you stay there for some time, and this is very interesting. But how has reconnecting with your biological family, your mother and family in Greece, impacted your life?
It's impacted my life in so many ways. It's almost hard to describe everything, because when I found my family 7 years ago, I found my biological mother still alive, all of my aunts and uncles, my 12 first cousins, all of their children. So I actually found my big fat Greek family and had a wonderful experience with that, meeting them all for the first time. And it's actually changed my life in ways I never would have possibly imagined. I have now been to Greece 52 times in the last 7 years. Delta Airlines loves me. I'm their best customer. And I could probably fly the plane by now because I've been that route so many times. But I love, the minute I set foot on Greek soil for the very first time, I felt like I was home. And I know this sounds corny, but every time I land in Athens, I cry. I get tears because I'm so happy to be there. And every time I leave, I cry because I don't want to go. I want to stay. And if I could stay permanently in Greece, I would do it. It has actually changed me to where I guess I've become Ευτυχία.
Let's talk about a little bit about the Greek adoption history. What can you tell us about the historical context of Greek adoptions during, let's say, the Cold War era? Because that was after the war, that dark period in the 50s and 60s.
Right. There's actually some 4,000 of us, 4,000 Greek children that were adopted abroad, mainly to the United States, in the 1950s and the 1960s during the Cold War period. After, you know, all this started on the heels of World War II, the Greek Civil War. There was abject poverty in Greece. You know, the country was kind of in shambles. So a lot of situations, a lot of circumstances played into that. And so many of these children were adopted in what you would call questionable circumstances. Some of us were even illegal. My own adoption, if you look at the papers from the Greek side, are pretty much illegal, because last time I checked, fraud and falsifying documents was illegal, and I have that as well as forgeries in my file. So, you know, given those kind of circumstances, anytime you adopt a bunch of children en masse from a country, even if it started for the right reasons, soon corruption rears its ugly head, because if there's not enough supply and there's the demand, people that are unscrupulous find a way to manufacture a supply.
And what unique challenges do Greek adoptees face when searching for their biological families?
Well, that'd take a whole nother interview to talk about those, but I would say first and foremost, the access to documents is still difficult because of, those of us who spend a lot of time in Greece know well the Greek bureaucracy. And we don't have unfettered access to our documents because they use the GDPR wrongly to keep us from getting them. Oh, we have to protect everybody's privacy. That law does not apply if you're asking for your own records, which that's what we're doing. We're asking for ours, not for somebody else's. The language barrier is difficult because those of us, or many of us that were not raised by Greek Americans, there's many who were, but even some of the ones raised by Greek Americans don't speak Greek. You're not always gonna find some friendly person on the phone who's willing to speak English to you, even if they know how. Because maybe they had a bad day, or they drank too much ouzo last night, you know, or something, whatever's going on, they may not be, you know, conducive to it. But the government also doesn't really acknowledge that we exist, or the travesty of what happened to all of us. And, you know, we've met with all the different ministries and stuff and politicians and trying to get them to get interested in this, and we kind of hit a brick wall. So.
And you're the only person so far that I know that you had 5 minutes to speak before the United Nations, and I want to know how has the perception of international adoption changed in Greece since your adoption? Tell us about the UN first.
Well, I was graciously invited to speak before the UN in Geneva, Switzerland, September a year ago, and it's the first time a Greek adoptee has ever addressed the UN. It was on the first anniversary of the joint statement on illegal inter-country adoption, and Greek adoptees had never been involved with the UN, and one of my colleagues in the inter-country adoptee community had 2 speaking slots. She had been allotted 2 5-minute slots. She graciously offered me one of them so Greek adoptees could be represented. And she is Linnell Long, who has the inter-country adoptee voices, and she tries to bring all of us inter-country adoptees together because we all have the same problems. We all have the same issues, the same obstacles, the same corruption, the same schemes that got us adopted. So it was just amazing to be there, and really great that we were able to put that before us. However, just doing that really didn't put any pressure on the government to do anything. And I was also told by the vice president of the committee that they had actually approached the Greek government about the adoptions and said, you know, we want to know because we've heard about these illegal adoptions and we want to know what's your answer to this. And she said they came back to them and said, oh, we investigated and we didn't find anything wrong. And I'm like, of course, you investigated yourself. Of course you didn't find anything wrong. So, but I hope in the future they've asked us to continue working with them through the Ευτυχία project. So hopefully we'll be able to continue to do that.
Let's talk about this a little bit. What steps does the Ευτυχία project typically take to help adoptees find their biological families?
Oh, that's another loaded question with a lot of answers. It's actually, every adoptee's story is, I always say all of our stories are the same, are different, but yet they're all the same because we came from the same circumstance and background. But when I founded the Ευτυχία Project in 2019, it was because I had that desire to help other adoptees like myself who were having difficulty finding their families. They didn't have access to records, or they had difficulty getting them, or they didn't speak Greek to be able to talk to people to find out information. They hadn't done DNA. They haven't gotten their alien file from the US government, because we have all kinds of resources that can help. So when I founded the Ευτυχία Project to help those people do what I had done, and to help more of them reconnect with their roots, we generally have people, the first thing we have them do, what adoption papers do you have? Because a lot of this is a combination of documents, people, circumstances, and sometimes a little bit of luck to find families in Grace. So we find out what papers they have, and we evaluate those papers to see what information do we have that we can use. Some people are lucky and have a biological mother's name and actually where she's from. If I can find a name and where they're from, we can find people. We have a way to do, there's ways to do that. We also help them get their alien files. We give them instructions how to get their alien files from the US government, because often your original Greek birth certificate is in the alien file. We have them do DNA, because even if you have all this other information, if you contact some of the people, they may not contact you back. We contact DNA relatives to see.
What role does DNA testing play in there? What role does DNA testing play in your organization's work? Because I know that you supply yourself. I mean, the Ευτυχία Project supplies the kit for
yes,
DNA.
it started out in 2020. We got this wild idea because we had Greek families from all over Greece coming to us, knowing that we were very visible in Greece. So they knew that we were helping adoptees, and they're looking for somebody that they've lost. Either they know they were adopted, or they suspect they might have been taken illegally for adoption, one way or another. And so the families would come to us, and we had all these families coming, and we're like, maybe, what if we could get some DNA kits and get these people to do DNA? Because most of the adoptees have a lot of them have done DNA. So when we first started, we didn't have much money or much resources, but we bought 12 DNA kits, because that's about all we could afford. And we had various ones from, MyHeritage or 23andMe or whoever. And I drove all over Greece with those first 12 kits and I set up kind of a circular little pattern so I could not backtrack and get all these people's DNA. And I had told my husband at the time, if just one had some kind of a hit on it, it would be a miracle, because that's a drop in the bucket compared to the thousands of people that do DNA every day. And then a month later, I'm scrolling through the results, and all of a sudden, sister pops up. And I had a sister for an adoptee who for 70 years had unknowingly lived 80 kilometers, which is 50 miles apart from her two sisters. She lived in Thessaloniki, they lived in Katerini. So that's the power of DNA. Yeah, and this other sister that had done DNA had just recently done so because her son wanted to see how Greek he was. And she said, please let me do it too. Maybe I'll find my sister this way. Because they had been looking for their youngest sister who'd been given up because the family felt like she might starve because they couldn't afford to feed her. So DNA is very important, because sometimes a lot of people don't have any paperwork. They're a family left on the doorstep, the Patras office, the orphanage, the Brefocomio whatever. They're left somewhere. They have no paperwork. There's no clues. When you don't have any real paperwork, what do? You go to DNA, and you hope that you find something. Well, the MyHeritage company read an article that the Greek reporter had done about us traveling all over Greece and supplying DNA kits. If some people would donate them, we'd buy some, whatever, however we could do this. And they contacted us and said, we want to help. We think it's great what you're doing. And we, at that point, in 2021, we started a formal partnership with MyHeritage. And now, instead of us hoping we can have enough money to buy some or get people to donate, they give us free DNA kits that we give to Greek adoptees and Greek families who are searching. Because in Greece, to us in America, $89 isn't a lot, but that's a lot to a Greek family who needs to put food on the table. So that way we're able to provide them with a kit.
Let's talk about cultural identities a little bit. How do you help Greek adoptees navigate the dual cultural identities? Because sometimes it can be a cultural shock.
A cultural shock, not only for them, but for their families. Because especially if you were not raised by Greek Americans, because a lot of us weren't. So we don't understand the Greek mindset. We don't understand the Greek language. We don't understand the Greek culture, the Greek habits. All we know is Greek food, because everybody likes Greek food. So we know that, but we don't know these other intricacies and complexities of the Greek psyche. So that's what we try to do, is when we do help them reconnect with family, we give them lots of advice, and we try to give them the very best advice we can, because I have been through this myself. I think when you have the personal experience, you're able to help someone else who's going to go through the same experience. And you know, it's the same. It's all very similar. And then our vice president Tula, who lives in Kyparissia, outside of Kyparissia in Greece, she speaks the language obviously fluently, and English too, and she knows Greek people. So we advise them best we can of what they should do, because many times adoptees want to know everything right now. As soon as they find family, they want to know the whole story. And we've had to caution them, take things slowly. This is new for you. This is new for your family. This may be a shock to them. Maybe they didn't even know you existed, which is true in a lot of cases, especially those of us that were born without the benefit of our parents being married. So when you've got those kind of situations, you have to tread lightly, because the older people in Greece, still in the villages, think there's still a stigma to being born out of wedlock. So we tell them to take it slow, let the family kind of lead you in how they want this to go, let them tell you stuff, and as they get to know you, they'll tell you more about your story, and not to push too hard. Be grateful that you have the connection, and just enjoy it. Soak up all that culture, all that stuff you missed.
So this is a good advice for people who are thinking to start searching, right? Because as you said, it is a stigma, it is a taboo. There are many other factors, social or psychological or cultural. So this is very good advice.
Well, and the other advice I tell them, I said, this is like, don't search unless you're absolutely certain that you're prepared for whatever you're going to find, because it might not be good. You just don't know. It's like opening Pandora's box, and once you open it up and all that stuff comes out, it's never going back in that box again. It's out there. So just be, what if you find, I said, there's two sides to this coin. There's your side and there's your biological family side. What if you find them and you don't like them? That's possible. But the other side of that is, what if they don't like you? You have to be prepared for whatever. So you never know what you're going to get.
And let's go back to this frequent travel to Greece. How that influenced your understanding of Greek culture? And let's start with your beautiful dress, because culture are, not only values and ideas, they are more than that. Right? The symbols that we use, the customs. So how that this new thing that now you have started?
Well, I am obsessed with anything Greek, pretty much. So when this was in the shop window, it was calling to me, Ευτυχία, come and buy me. Probably spent way too much money on it, but bought it anyway. I actually bought this one in Spetses, because I was visiting Spetses at the time. But I love anything Greek. I have several, and this is from the Greek designer Nema. And so I have several dresses and several blouses and stuff from that designer, and I love it. I've got on at least 3 matis. I have a bracelet, a necklace, and my earrings. I'm obsessed with that. They're all over my house, because that's a very cultural thing in Greece. Everybody loves the mati. My phone case is a mati. I have learned that we need to take a nap in the afternoons, because every good Greek in Greece takes a nap and you stay up till 2 in the morning. So that's kind of a normal thing. I was always a night owl, and I never understood why. And I love to drink coffee all the time, but that's in your DNA if you're Greek, obviously. Being with the Greek culture, I love the Greek habits. And I think the best compliment I ever got from one of my cousins after I'd been coming to Greece back and forth for some time, he said, Ευτυχία is one of us now. She's learned the Greek habits. She's learning the Greek language. She knows the Greek mindset. She's one of us. And I always that was the best compliment I could have gotten from any of my family.
So how you identify yourself? How you identify yourself?
Oh, I'm absolutely Ime Elenida. I'm a Greek woman. That's how I identify. I mean, I'm very Ime Poli Perifene, na Ime Elenida. I'm very proud to be a Greek woman.
I want to go back to the challenges and successes of the Ευτυχία project. What are some of the biggest obstacles that Ευτυχία project face in its mission? Because it needs a lot of attention now, I think. Now there's a good chance to expand into that and see how we can all contribute to that. So we are not alone, you know, in this Greek American community.
Right. Well, the best thing about it is that the people in Greece have really embraced us, and they embrace adoptees in general. When you go back to Greece and you start talking to some cab driver or some shopkeeper or somebody and start telling, I'm adopted from Greece, and you tell them your story, it's like, welcome home, because the Greek people themselves are all on our side. You know, finding somebody in Greece isn't always easy. Sometimes it looks easy, but sometimes there's years or months or whatever of research that goes into that to try to find the area you're looking for. So that's important to have.
How about the Greek American community, though? The Greek people in Greece, they are supportive. How about the Greek American community in the States?
The Greek American community, they're supportive when they find out about but a lot of the Greek American community are not familiar with the adoptions, or it's been swept under the rug for so many years because it's not a pretty chapter of Greece history that people don't talk about it. So I think they're more open now and they're starting to talk about it. And so the Greek Americans that I know are very supportive, but the community as a whole sometimes knows nothing. We actually did a presentation in South Bend, Indiana, and a lot of people showed up to the presentation and they were shocked about what really went on with these adoptions, and they really didn't know the history. And so bringing awareness to people about this is important, because maybe that will help us get the things that we need. And one of the things that most Greek adoptees really want is the restoration of their Greek citizenship, and that's a huge obstacle to us. And we have advocated with the Greek government. I've met with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of the Interior, the Minister of Labor and Social Affairs, met with almost every single party in Parliament, and we've gotten very little, because they really are absolutely probably never going to do a blanket solution for that. So we have to do it basically through legal means, one adoptee at a time. And that's unfortunate, because they won't even discuss a process by which all this gets done. So.
And how you handle cases where reunions are not possible, or biological families are not very receptive?
We've had several of those, not a lot. I would say 90 to 95% are good, at least good, if not spectacular. The other ones, we've had a few, like we helped reunite a man with his half-brother and his first cousins and all that, and his biological mother still to this day refuses to meet him, because I believe it's probably a painful history, and that's something painful for her. And that's the thing, adoptees then feel like he now feels like he's rejected again. Like he feels like he was rejected the first time because he was given to the orphanage, and now he feels rejection again, she won't meet him. But I always try to tell adoptees, this is a possibility. You don't know if they're gonna wanna meet you or not, so you have to prepare your mind psychologically. And I also recommend people have a therapist to talk to. I did. I talked to a therapist, even though mine was one of the best possible outcomes you could possibly have. My adoptive family and my biological family. But sometimes you need someone to talk to that doesn't have a dog in your fight, and you need to do that. But it's we've had that. We also had one, and this was horrible because it was Mother's Day weekend last year. We found the biological mother. Tula and I talked to her on the phone. She was going to meet us at a cafeteria to talk to us privately. We waited for 2.5 hours. She never showed up. And Tula's like, what do we do? I said, well, let's give it a couple of months and we'll call her again. Because we tried to call her from the cafeteria and she never picked up the phone. So I think she got scared. And I don't blame, I mean, this is a scary thing. It's like new for her, you know, you gave up this child 60 years ago and now all of a sudden, hey, hi, here I'm back. So we called her a few months later, and it happened to be Mother's Day weekend. And we said, at one point in the conversation, because we never really outright said it was her daughter looking for her. And we said, you do know who's looking for you, right? And she said, yes. and we have gone our separate ways, so just let it be. So basically told us to mind our own business. So at that point, we don't push because we've been told no. So, but she didn't tell the adoptee no, so we gave her all the information where she could find what Cafaneo she went to every day and where her village was and that sort of thing, and gave her the phone number that we had and left it up to her. But so far the mother has not been responsive. So but that doesn't happen often. Usually it's a good outcome, and there are quite a few adoptees here today with us with this interview that have had great outcomes with their biological families.
Before we discuss the future plans, let's conclude this segment with you mention one or two of the project's greatest achievements so far. I know you have many, but let's mention, to summarize one or two of the greatest achievements that you think they are.
Oh wow, that's hard because we have so many fabulous stories.
Let's give them a sneak preview. So.
Well, let me tell one about somebody who was supposed to be here and he's sick. He got sick and told us he would not expose us to his germs, which we're eternally grateful for, so he didn't get to come from Missouri. But our treasurer of the Ευτυχία Project, Merrill Jenkins, when I first met him 7 years ago, he had been searching for his family for some years. And actually his journey ended up being 12 years long to find his biological family. He had he even went on TV shows in Greece. He was on Nikoluli. Tons of people called the show, oh, you look like our uncle so-and-so, or you must be my brother, or whatever. All of them were dead ends. He did DNA with multiple people who later called us and said, I think I'm his sister, and we went and did DNA, and that didn't match. So this goes on till about 10.5 years into this search of his. And I told him, I said, Merrill, please do 23andMe because you've done my heritage, you've done answer, you've done everything. Oh, okay. It took me 6 months to get him to do 23andMe. I even gave him a 30% coupon off, and he forgot to use it when he bought the kit. And then he did it. And then I happened to be in Missouri visiting him to do some work with the Ευτυχία Project, and I hadn't seen him in a while. And we're sitting there, and the results came in. He's sitting there just staring at the machine, like looking at it. And I said, oh my God, Merrill, you have a first cousin once removed. See, you should have done 23andMe when Ευτυχία told you to do it like 6 months ago. So from that clue, it still took us another 1.5 years to get someone enough information. That guy kind of didn't help after a while because I don't know if someone said something or whatever. And then but we did find out the village that man's father, who would have been Merrill's first cousin, was from. And then he ends up matching with a second cousin who's also from that same village, who lives 3 hours from Merrill in Missouri. And we're like, that's an amazing miracle. So Tula and I decided we're going to that village, which is Drosia, right outside of Patras. And we went to that village. They had just had their panegyri, so everybody is still up in the Cafaneo at 11 o'clock in the morning because they've been up all night. We went in there, sat down, and of course we're strangers. This old man comes over and he said, what brings you girls to our village? And we said, oh, we know someone from Canada who's from here, and they told us to visit the village if we ever came. Well, what's your friend's name? We told him the name of the guy from Canada, and he goes, oh, I know that whole family. Well, there's Makis, there's so-and-so, there's so. He starts naming them all off. Eventually, we figure out from him talking, because we never said what we were doing, that there's 7 first cousins that Merrill has. And one of them's daughter had a taverna very near to Patras. So guess what Ευτυχία and Tula did? We went to the taverna that night to have dinner, and we actually talked to the daughter of one of his cousins. She got very teary and very emotional, and she agreed to help us. She talked 2 of her aunts and uncles into doing DNA. Bingo, first cousins to Merrill. We found that family. Then the other half of the family, they wanted to do DNA because they thought Merrill might be their brother because their father evidently had adventures. And that turned out they're first cousins, but by that we were able to figure out who Merrill's father was. So his father had already passed away, but we knew who his father was, and he looks just like him. So that was an amazing story because Merrill is the sweetest person, and for so many years with the Ευτυχία Project, he has been helping everybody else. He's really good with spreadsheets, he's really good researching ancestry for clues, and he's everybody's biggest cheerleader. But he has to be disappointed after all the DNA tests he did and nobody matched. And so now he knows where he's from, and he knows what his name would have been if he had stayed, hadn't been adopted from Patras. So it was a wonderful story, and I was so happy for him because he's so sweet and kind to everybody.
Amazing story. So what upcoming events or initiatives does the Ευτυχία Project have planned?
Oh, we have lots of plans. And this trip to New York was just kind of an impromptu, hey, let's have a meetup in New York when Ευτυχία goes to New York. So there's a bunch of us here for that, we like to see each other more than once a year because the Ευτυχία Project hosts the annual Greek adoptee reunion every year. The first year in 2022, we were in Nashville, the Athens of the South, and we have a Parthenon. We're the only city that has a full-size replica of the Parthenon in the whole world. So that was a no-brainer. We'll have it there. The second year, we went to Greece. We had a little trip, a little circular trip around Greece all together for a week we spent together. It was wonderful. Then this past year, this past June, we had our reunion in Louisville, Kentucky, and had a wonderful turnout. A lot of people were there. We had a great time. And so now we felt the need to go west of the Mississippi so we could get more adoptees from the other parts of the country. So now in June the 19th through the 21st of 2025, we will be hosting the 4th annual Greek adoptee reunion in Las Vegas, Nevada. So
are we invited to them?
Yeah, everybody's invited. You can come, everybody can come. We're happy about that. We enjoy doing these reunions because for adoptees, sometimes those of us who weren't adopted into the Greek community, we felt like we were the only ones that were Greek that were adopted from Greece. We felt we were the only ones. I didn't know, other than my little group of adoptees that were adopted to San Antonio, I didn't know there were any adoptees in the United States.
I get the sense that the organization is evolving, right? It is an evolution to the organization. So you said we moved to different areas, we're trying to reach to more people. So it is a development, right? It is a growing up.
Yeah, we've had a tremendous amount of growth in the last 5 years and reconnected 31 adoptees with their biological
families.
families.
To other areas also to do more things?
We want to do more things. Of course, that always takes funding, so we're trying to find ways to get grants and something creative fundraising and stuff to be able to do more.
For today, we solved the problem.
So we try to do stuff. We haven't been able, and we probably will never expand beyond just Greek adoptees because especially we have those 4,000 in the 50s and 60s, and we're actually, of all the inter-country adoptees, we're almost the oldest cohort of adoptees, and our story's often lost because there's so many more Koreans and Chinese and Russians and Chileans and Guatemalans that were all adopted. So we're pretty much overshadowed, even though we paved the way for proxy adoptions for a lot of those other countries because, hey, we found out in Greece we can just send a lawyer in our stead to adopt a child for us and we can have a kid. Well, other countries use that same model, so we kind of paved the way for all of that. But we're going to stick to Greek adoptees because we do have not only just the ones in 50s and 60s, but we've got another almost generation of them in the 70s, 80s, and 90s that were also adopted. Not as many, but we do have people from that same.
You need to raise awareness.
Right, because if more people are aware, maybe the Greek government will get a clue.
The Greek adoption issues, right? Are there any educational resources that people you provide for adoptees? I saw a circulation of some pamphlets that I have here. You have some educational resources that you towards the direction of making people aware of that. Tell us about this.
We have started, we have a lot of, we try to do education in creative ways if we can. We've done a lot of, we haven't done them lately because we've been so busy, but we have done a lot of online, we call them Greek adoptee conversations. And we started out doing that to give adoptees a place to come and we can all talk on Zoom together. We do it where everybody can talk. It's not just a webinar. It's where people can actually participate. So we talk about a variety. We'll usually pick a topic and we'll talk about a variety of things, but and everybody will talk about that topic. And sometimes even when we're done, people still stay on and we talk even for another hour or something just for fun. Sometimes we do PowerPoints on those things to help people if they have certain things that they have issues with. We've also begun going around to give some seminars. We gave a presentation in April in South Bend, Indiana for the Philoptikos chapter there at the church. We have a presentation called Greece's Guilty Secret, The Forgotten Children of Greece and Their Search for Roots, Reunion, and Identity. And we actually incorporated adoptees in there to talk about that we have actually helped with something, to talk about each phase of our programs that we have. One person discussed our search and reunion in relation to how we had helped them, our DNA program, our reunions, our citizenship initiative and stuff like that. So we do those kinds of things. We had a Greek word of the day for a while that I'm going to start recycling again that we put up so people can learn some Greek words. Sometimes I put up information about places in Greece that are important, like a lot of Greek adoptees know where Meteora is, but they don't know that if it hadn't been for Meteora, a lot of our language and culture and history might have been totally lost during the Ottoman rule. So a lot of poets and authors and artists escaped there and hid with the monks to preserve all of that. So we try to do that too, and then again, we also encourage them to learn Greek, because if you're going to go to Greece and find your family, and you do find them, and you're going to be there as often as I am, the 80-year-old people aren't going to learn English. So it's great to learn Greek, because that's really part of your heritage too. That language is a beautiful language. It's difficult, but it's beautiful. And so we encourage them to also learn Greek as much as they can.
Very interesting. Another part that as a sociologist, to me, it's very important and significant is that to see the relationship you have between the collective, like the foundation, founding and running the Ευτυχία project, and the individual, the agency, yourself, how founding an organization, which is more collective, affect your own journey of self-discovery, because it is. It is you, the unit of one, and then it is more collective. So, and you find something about yourself, you discover something about yourself in this journey with more people.
When we started the project, and right now, currently, our board of directors is 4 Greek-born adoptees and 1 person who's a Greek family member searching for 2 lost brothers. So we all are people that have come from the same background, the same circumstance. We are all, and some of us have found, 3 of us I think have found family, 1 hasn't, and the other one hasn't found their 2 brothers either. So, but I think that I've discovered that there are kind, loving, and generous people in this world. Because sometimes this world these days, you kind of feel like the world is lost and there's no hope for it. And then you run into some kind, generous, loving Greek person in Greece who helps you find something that you're looking for, who's willing to take you into their house, who wants to feed you, who wants to give you the best hospitality. And then you find the adoptees themselves, even if they don't find someone, they're happy that somebody else did, and it gives them hope that they're going to find something, because when someone finds someone, then hope's not lost, because hope's always the last thing to die. So they do that. I've learned that I can't detach myself from this thing. I mean, should we be detached people because we're involved in doing this? How can you not be emotionally affected? And especially when it hits so close to home, because I've already lived this, but every time I've been asked to be present at a reunion, just, if they want me to be their cameraman so they don't have to worry about it, to take videos, photos, whatever they want me to do, I just kind of stand off to the side and do stuff. I cry right along with them when they all, because it's still too new for me. And I've learned that I can't be a detached observer. We'd have to be made of stone to not feel deeply the emotions that everybody does. So I don't think you should have to be a stern professional, because we're not professionals, we just do this as volunteers. You know, I always tell people at the beginning, yeah, we're not private investigators and we're not professional investigators, so we're going to do our best for you, but we can't make any promises. But I think we've done pretty well to reconnect 31, and we had really basically not much idea of what we were doing in the beginning. But I've learned that there's still good people everywhere, and I've learned that I have a lot more strength than I thought I did, and so
sense of community, friendship, and ties. Yeah, very good.
And that's what the reunions do, is they help us build a stronger, bigger, better community of Greek adoptees who can all support and love each other, because we have all bonded through shared circumstance.
You ever thought to plan to writing a book about all this?
Funny you should ask that question, because actually I'm on chapter 13 of my memoir. I'm working with a New York Times bestseller memoirist who kind of is my mentor and coach, and we're hoping, my goal is to finish the first draft by the end of this year. And then I've already actually been approached by a publisher in Greece who wants to publish it in Greek, which is cool, which would be nice. And I tentatively named it, my name is Ευτυχία. So we'll see what happens. But I also, you know, my story is just representative of 4,000 people and of many of these adoptees that are here tonight. And I hope the book will bring more awareness to the global community about these adoptions. As I said, our narrative's often lost in this whole inter-country adoption narrative, and writing, and I encourage every adoptee, even if you're not a writer, to write down your story, if for nothing else, and for posterity, for your family, for your children, because our heritage is our children's heritage. My children are extremely proud they're half Greek. They think that's the best thing since sliced bread. We are Greek, we're proud of it, we love to go to Greece, we love our Greek family. And most of all of our children, our heritage is theirs, you know, wherever we came from as part of them. And for us not knowing something about our roots, our children also don't know those roots until we find them. And then I think we lose sight of that sometimes, that whatever we don't know, our children don't know either. So I think it's important not only for us, but for them, that we discover where we're from, because we don't know what non-adopted people take for granted. They know where they came from, we don't.
Well, you can mention also that you can give an interview to the Hellenic American Project, so we can capture it also. I want to thank you very much, and I'll give you a chance for your concluding remarks, what you say to the Greek American community and to New Yorkers here.
Well, I'd hope the community gets some enlightenment from this, and that it makes them eager to find more information out about these adoptions and what actually happened during them, and the aftermath of them. Because, you know, I had wonderful parents, but many of these adoptees did not. It's not scientific, and I didn't do any real research, but I've talked to hundreds of adoptees, and out of the ones I've talked to, it's really shocking to me that about 60 to 70% of them had not very good parents, basically what we would consider unfit parents. And some of them suffered horribly. They had horrible lives, they've suffered lifelong trauma from it. Some have been able to overcome it, some are just so traumatized by it they can't move forward. And it's really sad, because every child deserves to be loved unconditionally, protected unconditionally. And the fact that these children were adopted and then mistreated breaks my heart. And so, you know, I would hope that people would look at adoption and not look at it as a fairy tale ending or a fairy tale thing, or that you should be grateful you were adopted. And because a lot of people look at adoption that way. But for a lot of adoptees, adoption's not a fairy tale, and it doesn't end pretty. So, you know, I always say I'm fortunate, but I'm like the exception. It's sort of like that weight loss commercial, these results are not typical. My results are not typical. not everybody had great parents. Not everybody has a great Greek family when you find them. I got the best of both worlds, and I'm eternally grateful for that. But everybody doesn't. So familiarize yourself with these adoptions. Learn about adoption in general, especially intercountry adoption, because these, especially the older children, they have difficulties, and a lot of them suffered a lot of trauma. And don't look at it like we should all be grateful because we got adopted from Greece and we got adopted from poverty. Maybe your circumstances weren't better here. We don't know, but you know, we have our website you can go to, and it's on, I'm not going to belabor all of that because it's on the flyers that we have outside and the flyers that we handed out. So you can go to our website. We always have stuff on there. There's resources on there for people to learn more. They can follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. And then for adoptees, we have a private Facebook group called Forgotten Children of Greece. And we keep it private so we don't just have everybody in the world on there, and we can discuss things openly without, you know, in a loving, protected place. So, you know, it's been a marvelous journey so far. I can't imagine my life without my Greek family now, and I would not take anything for all the wonderful people I've met, all the Greek people in Greece, all the Greek people here, you, Angie, all the other people that are too many to name, and I'm really appreciative that you guys invited me up here to do this interview in New York.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think this was really an incredible evening. We got to see a lot of, you got to see a little in-depth view of what it means to be adopted. So this was really terrific. Now I wanted to take this opportunity to invite up some of the adoptees that are here from different parts of the U.S. So do you want to introduce them?
Sure.
Yeah. And I also like to encourage everybody, you can take your cell phones out now, and if you guys can go ahead and go onto Facebook, and you should really, you know, follow our organizations, Greek Elder Care Network, the Ευτυχία Project, and of course the HAP, Hellenic American Project. We would really appreciate you guys, the follows, and share it with your friends, because the more that we can get the word out, the better it is for our community, for the Greek American community. I have them written here for you. Okay.
Oh wow. Well, you know what?
Well,
I don't have.
you guys all know. Yeah, you guys all know Lynda Károl Trotter. So you guys. So
Yeah,
you know,
I'm here.
Here she is.
I'm here. I was adopted from obviously the Refo-Kumiathon, which I already said. So, Dimitri, you want to come? Dimitri Christo, you want to come up and yeah. Yeah, just come up here. And we're gonna have each adoptee tell you who they are, where they live now, and where they were adopted from.
Okay. My name is Demetrius Christo. Oh, that's bright. And I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I was born Elias Ioannou, and I was adopted by Greek Americans, and I was a pikpa baby, which meant that I went to a foster home, not an orphanage.
All right, perfect. And then you go stand over
Oh,
there
go
because
over
we're
there.
all going to stay up here and take a photo in just a minute. Okay, Teresa?
Good evening. My name is Teresa Scharf. I reside in Central Ohio between Columbus and Cleveland on a small farm. I was adopted by an American military couple from the Metera Baby Center in Athens.
Okay, Penny?
I'm Penny Kappas Chandler. I'm from North Carolina, a little town called Burlington. And that's where I went from the beginning, and that's where I still am all these years later. I came from Metera, and
And you were adopted by Greek Americans.
yeah, I was adopted by Greek Americans, so I grew up with the Greek language, the Greek
And I'm jealous.
heritage, yeah.
All right, there you go. Jill?
My name is Jill Pigeon. I'm from Peabody, Massachusetts. I was adopted by an American family from Massachusetts. I'm from the Patras Municipal Orphanage. And good evening. It's good to see everybody tonight here supporting us. God bless you all.
Despina?
Hello, I'm Despina Cartson. I live in Westchester County, New York. I was adopted when I was 9 months old from the Βρεφοκομείον Athinon, the municipal orphanage in Athens. I was adopted by a wonderful Greek family, and I grew up very Greek. And 2 weeks ago, I met biological siblings and their families from both sides of my family.
Dion?
Είμαι Διονύσης Διόνου, είμαι από την Πάτρα. I currently live in Ridgewood, here in Brooklyn, from Brooklyn, New York. I was sold, not adopted, in an illegal black market led by Maurice and Rebecca Issachar to two people who had no business having children or being close to children in any circumstances whatsoever. I'm here today because of the strength of my own personal faith and my personal will, which I think comes from my Hellenic spirit.
Rochelle?
Ooh, that's bright.
I told you.
It is, right? Hi, everyone. My name is Rochelle Logan. I'm from Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. I was born in Athens in October of 1972. I was adopted by and brought back to America. My parents were here from New York, and they used a Greek lawyer in Queens by the name of Trantis. I don't have a real birth date because the paperwork says I'm October 12th, but I think that's when my parents found or met me in Greece with a Greek lawyer in Athens, brought me back to New York at a week old, had to go to the embassy on the steps of Athens and tell them they had a baby. My mom at 9 months pregnant had a baby and brought her back to New York. I was raised in New York. I live in New York and New Jersey right now. And yeah.
Oh, and we're fourth cousins with
Yeah,
DNA.
we're related. Somehow we're connected too. So this is all very new to me. I'm just starting on this journey.
I said if I could only figure out which of the 16 great-grandparents we're related to, it'd be great.
So, thank you guys so much.
Okay, Nick Delancey?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Nick Devantis. I live here in Jackson Heights, Queens. I was born in November of '59 in Athens, adopted by Greek American parents. Shortly after that, a few months old, they baptized me in Historia, which is where they're from. And we arrived back in New York before my first birthday. Was told from a young age that I was adopted, and through this, meeting this incredible woman and her project, I am now starting to begin to find my real roots and my real family. And I promised myself I wouldn't do it until my mother passed away. We lost her a few years ago at the age of 97, so now I have clear conscience to move forward. Thank you for all you do.
Okay, let me go down my list here. Okay, Wendy?
You gonna help me? My name is Wendy Fox, and supposedly I was from Patras in the orphanage. I was adopted from parents in New York, and I guess they estimated how old I was, around 4 months old, whatever, and I was adopted to a Jewish family, a wonderful Jewish family. My daughter's right over there, who's also wonderful.
Okay, David Shamish?
Hi, how are you? My name is David Shamish. I was a foundling child of unknown parents named Constantine, now being the inmate of Municipal Foundling Asylum of Patras. That's what said on my birth certificate. Linda met me in Patras, and we went to the courthouse and found my actual birth certificate matching that to prove that that's where I came from and that's where I was born. And it also let me know that that was the name I was given by my mother, and the date of my birth was correct in the letter that we found. So that was very important. And I also was adopted by a Jewish family here in Brooklyn, and they were a terrific family.
All right, and we have another. Deb, do you want to come up or no? Come on, Deb, you can do it. Nothing but love up here on this stage for you, girl.
Hello, everybody. My name is Deborah Tamarkin. I was adopted from Patras, Greece, as well. And I was 2 years and 1 month when I came here. So I was in that orphanage for a long time. I was also adopted through the lawyer that the gentleman was speaking of before, Maurice Issachar. Yeah. So we know that story well. Very well. I have all my papers. I have my birth certificate, have all my adoption papers, and I actually met my natural mother once, just for a second. When she met me, she panicked and she ran away. And that was okay. That was okay. I just wanted to see her. I just wanted to see what she looked like. And I did, and that was satisfying. I do have 2 sisters and a brother there that I never saw again, but one day I will. We're going next year. I'm listening to Linda's story, and I have a very similar story to her as hers. I was very happy. I grew up with wonderful parents, and I've had a wonderful life, and I still do. So, thank you.
Have I missed anybody who's an adoptee? Is that all the adoptees? Have I got everybody that's adopted? Okay. All right. So now we can do a photo. Yeah. Let's do a photo. Let's do a photo. So everybody want to get their cameras, and somebody take one for me too, because my camera's in my purse. Come on, Professor. Come on. Hey guys, we're taking a photo.
We're trying to figure out something.
Come on this side. Come on this side too.
Yeah. Some come over.
Okay, so we would like to invite you all downstairs, and we can do questions and answers down there. You can meet you can meet everyone. If you have any questions, we're all here to answer the questions you have. We want to thank you so much for spending the night with us here, and we're looking forward to a lot more interviews with Professor Alexiou. And thank you, Ευτυχία. What a pleasure it is to meet you finally in person. Thank you for making the journey to New York. I'm so happy we've done many Zooms together.
I know,
and
it's great to meet people in person.
And it's really nice.
I've known on Facebook for like 5 years, and all of a sudden, look, they're real.
Yeah, they're right there in front of you. So thank you so much for and thank you all for coming to New York.
Thank you, Angie, for putting all this together.
Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure. My pleasure. Okay. Yeah. And like I said, take your phones out, follow Greek Elder Care, follow the Ευτυχία Project, and follow Professor Alexiou, Hellenic American Project.